Talking Nerdy Vlogcast with your host, Pablo Gunner. And I am here to talk nerdy to you. Or with you if you want to talk nerdy with me. Or at you. I'm here. I can talk nerdy at you. That's fine too. If you don't want to talk nerdy with me. But that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to talk about the things that I've been watching, playing, reading, whatever. So what I'm going to be covering this week is, reluctantly, Batman v Superman, The Wolf Among Us, and Daredevil Season 2. So I'll go ahead and go into Batman v Superman, like I said, reluctantly. I didn't really want to throw in my 2 cents just because of the fact that everybody's doing a Batman v Superman video and review, and I really don't like copying everybody. But I feel like people want to know, and I feel like I got to get out my complaints on people's complaints. Like, I got to attack their complaints, and I got to bring my complaints out, which I feel like there's not too many of. Which is, okay, first I'm going to go with the pros, which is pretty much the whole cast killed it. Like Bruce Wayne, the Bruce Wayne Batman was really good. Batfleck, as they call him, he did a really solid job. Even his kind of like sidekick, sort of, that was building stuff for him, engineer, comms guy, Alfred, he was doing really awesome. He was really awesome. Jeremy Irons, phenomenal actor, so of course he knocked it out of the park. And I like the voice. I like the voice change thing personally myself. Henry Cavill is Henry Cavill. He's like, he's no, Brandon Routh. Christopher Reeves, but he's definitely number 2. He's definitely number 2. Lex Luthor. Okay, so here's the thing with Jesse Eisenberg. Jesse Eisenberg is Jesse Eisenberg in almost every single thing he does. He's just a little bit more or a little bit less, And in this, I feel like he showed us a more scary part or aspect of him that we haven't seen before, which is the so brilliant that he's losing his mind aspect. Because as the movie went on, Lex was more crazy. Like, he got crazier and crazier by the end. A lot of people saying he's Joker. I don't see that, unless it's like the tactics with the pictures and the stuff like that. But I think that was more to like mess with Bruce Wayne's head than anybody else. He did a superb job because he also showed an aspect of Lex Luthor that I feel like we've never seen before, and people may complain and be like, oh, that's not Lex, that's not Lex. And I'm also hearing rumors that he's not actually Lex Luthor, that he's Alexander. Well, guess what? There's a Lex in Alexander, or Alex. It's in there. So there's no reason why he cannot be Lex Luthor. I know he mentions his dad a lot throughout the movie, but that doesn't mean, like, just because his dad started the company that does not mean that he's not the Lex Luthor. Obviously, because he's the one that's going after Superman, he is the Lex Luthor. But anyways, it irritates me that people are being like, oh, he's like Joker, for one. But the other thing is that Lex Luthor has been in almost every single Superman movie there has been made ever. And so that we finally see a different aspect of Lex Luthor, freaking loved it. Like, I love that we finally get a different aspect of Luthor. So I was really impressed with his performance. I went in there thinking it was going to be garbage. I thought he was going to be the worst part of the movie, and he might have been the best. The other one was Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. She stole the show in every scene that she was in. Every outfit she was wearing, I was like, she is a Greek goddess, without a doubt. All those outfits were just glorious and glamorous and, gorgeous, mind-blowing. And then when she shows up to fight, that was the best because she was not underpowered at all. She seemed like she was evenly matched with Superman, just different, like, power set, maybe. And she knows how to fight. Like, she was just, she seemed like she was causing the most damage to Doomsday. So, oh, and the other thing is the Justice League stuff. A lot of people are complaining like there wasn't enough Justice League. Guess what? It's not a Justice League movie. I know it's called Dawn of Justice, but it's not a Justice League movie. Those little tidbits, those were wonderful. My favorite being the Aquaman one because that was sick. But all of them were not, they were pretty solid. I personally did not care for like the Flash suit that they showed in the movie. It looked weird, like it looked like armor, and I did not like it. Kind of like the Injustice armor. I did not care for it, or I didn't care for his long hair, like his look at all. And rolling into the other stuff, I didn't like. I did not like. Of course, Doomsday was not done right, and it was kind of like Doomsday was kind of a combination of Bizarro and Doomsday because it was Lex Luthor that made this Doomsday, but it was with the help of Kryptonian technology, So it was like Doomsday and Bizarro mashed together. I will agree, though, that the exploding, there was too many explosions. How many was there? Like 3? 4? I don't know. One less would have been okay. Yeah, just like his origins were not completely accurate. Not too surprised, though, considering the fact that this is just an amalgamation of like multiple, storylines, of DC mashed into one movie. No different than Christopher Nolan did. So the other thing was just the final, the final fight and what led up to the final fight. A lot of people are complaining about the actual fight of Batman versus Superman. And guess what? This movie isn't about Batman versus Superman. I know a lot of people think that it's Batman versus Superman because it's called Batman v Superman. Guess what? The V doesn't stand for versus. And Snyder has said that. He said the V doesn't stand for versus. Well, if you went in thinking like, hey, this is just going to be all about them fighting and that's it, that's the whole movie. No, it's not. And I get that it was short, but if you watch The Dark Knight Returns, it was about the same. The thing that bugged me about the fight, though, was that, spoiler alert here, the kryptonite canister that Batman uses against Superman did not hurt him that much. For one, it didn't hurt him that much and he recovered really quickly. To me, that makes zero sense because he inhales it, which it's like, okay, to me, I would imagine that, like, it's worse than the rock just sitting there than you inhaling the rocks, essentially, into your body. Because now it's in your bloodstream, To me, that seems like it would hurt you a lot more. So that was kind of dumb to me, even though the chunk of the rock was way bigger than the amount of the gas. It just seems to me, hey, at least they should even it out, at least. And then just how he went about, like, oh, hey, he gets a spear, passes out in the process of getting the spear, but then somehow he conjures up enough strength to grab the spear, and here's a huge spoiler alert, stab Doomsday, and then double stab Doomsday. When to me, it would make a lot more sense if Bruce Wayne was like, hey, we need to get the spear and kill Doomsday with it because Doomsday used to be Zod, which that's also weird that it used to be Zod, but I can see how, like, hey, now it's easier to kill Doomsday. But anyways, like, he should have been doing that. Like, he should have been commanding, and tell Wonder Woman, hey, you throw the spear because it makes Superman weak. Superman, you distract him until she throws the spear, then you get away. And I will throw my canister, to weaken him right before she throws the spear. And so that it would all work that way. You see him do that command the way he always has done with the Justice League, even though it's just the three of them. And it would make more sense. She's an Amazon. She knows how to chuck spears, And then, of course, Superman could give that final thrust all the way through, And boom, they could still do what they did the rest of it. So those are my complaints, pros and cons and all that. So I still do think it's totally worth seeing in theaters because it's a phenomenal spectacle. I kind of want to see it again. I do want to see it again. I don't know if I'll see it again in theaters just because it's expensive. But, for an early bird or even once it's the dollar, I don't go to the dollar theater, actually. I would say you can go ahead and go to the dollar theater. I'm not going to go because I don't go to the dollar theater anymore because it's ghetto. But I am a cheapo at the same time, but still. I would go see it as like an early bird. even for 3D, because I heard the 3D, the ambassador said it was pretty wicked. That being the case, and I do want to get this on DVD, especially for all the extras and everything like that, you know, because a lot of people, they say that this movie was too long. I say it wasn't long enough, because there was some stuff where you're like, hey, it seemed like there was some stuff missing, and then there was some stuff that was like, there was, especially like Batman's visions that people think like, or his dreams that people thought like were actually real when he was shooting guns. Guess what? That wasn't real. They were dreams. And that was mostly him killing people. So, and if for the people that think he killed people in the movie, like that was not the dream sequence stuff, you're probably wrong. And if you're not wrong, I don't care, because it's the Dark Knight Returns Batman, and he's a darker, more effed up Batman that just doesn't care. He's old, he's been doing it for a long time, and, you know, and that's it. So, the other thing is that just like, it's not that much different than any Arkham game you played. Like, he seriously messes people up in those games, especially in Arkham Knight when he has a vehicle, you know, can't deny that. So anyways, so yeah, I'm going to give it a strong buy, because I definitely want it on Blu-ray so I can have all the extras, and I want to see it again. It's worth seeing again. Alright, so now I'm going to move on to The Wolf Among Us, which is a Telltale game. They all play out similar, you know, where it's very a linear thing, but you get to make the choices, you know, and it's mostly dialogue choices, but there are times when you get to make physical choices too, like, hey, kill this person, don't kill this person, you know. Sometimes that's via text, and, you know, like saying it, or, you know, whatever. And this one was, it's like a spin-off of the comic book series Fables, which is based off of Fable stories, the old Fables. But it's more realistic. Like, it's about this neighborhood in New York City that it's called Fabletown, and it's just fables. And that's what they're made up of. Actually play the big bad wolf as the sheriff, but he's in human form. Like, that's the thing, is if you can't be there if you're not in human form. You're not supposed to be. You have to live out, like, you know, in the New York, you know, the Woodlands they call it, I think, which is like out, you know, upstate New York or whatever, in some farm type. So you have to have like a spell on you, so that you are in human form. And so, like I said, you play the big bad wolf. He's the sheriff of Fabletown. You know, they have Snow White, and she's the secretary to the mayor. The mayor is Ichabod Crane. You know, and there's Tweedledee, there's Tweedledum. You have, you know, Little Mermaid in there, but she goes by another name. And just all these other characters. There's trolls. So there's a lot of Fable characters. Some, like half of which I didn't even know of. But yeah, it's really crazy. I think I love the intro just because the music is just so cool, and the style, the art style is really unique to the Fable, you know, to the Fable universe. I mean, of course, it's similar to their other games, no doubt, but I feel like it does lend itself to that style. There's a lot of cursing too. There's a lot of cursing. There is nudity. It does get really crazy. And you know, it's called The Wolf Among Us, and it's that for many reasons. Obviously, because you play the big bad wolf as the sheriff, but there's many other characters who are the wolf among us. You know, and it's crazy how it changes. How the wolf is one person in one episode, and one person in another episode, and then at the end you go, "Wow, this was the actual wolf in sheep's clothing among us." You know, like, I'm very out in the open, you know, wolf among us, except for the fact that you're in human form most of the time, which sometimes you don't, and it gets really cool, and it's really awesome, and the combat, you know, is really cool, and I really liked how they upped it with each episode. And each episode is about, like, an hour to 2 hours it takes. And it flows really well together. Like, it's hard not to do a full episode, because each chapter just flows so well. I believe, and I played it on the 360, there was a little lag issues, because I got it on disc through GameFly. But you know, it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too awful. It was more just during loading times, you know, it seemed like. And that was it. It wasn't too often during the game, so it didn't interrupt the gameplay. Maybe like 2 or 3 times, and that was about it. Of the all 5 episodes, so it adds up to, about 10 hours, more or less. So yeah, and it's really interesting because it's similar to, because you play a character that used to be bad, there's a lot more choices for bad, and that's the other thing is like, this is not one of those games where it's good or bad neutral choice. It's like bad, worse, worst, almost, and then sometimes good. It's because you are the big bad wolf, and I had this same experience with the Knights of the Old Republic once I found out I was Revan, which is, it was really hard to be good once I found out that I used to be bad. So it was really easy to be bad. Like when they give me choices to be a bad person, or like, especially when it comes to criminals, like, oh hey, this person hurt you, or this person's talking bad to you, like, hey, you punch him, you knock him out, you hit him, you beat him up, you kill him or whatever. You have that option, sometimes. That choice is a lot easier. I do feel really conflicted though because there are times where, in order to get an achievement, you've played those where you have to be bad to get the achievement. I felt really bad when I had to be mean to a friend, like especially to Snow White, because she's pretty nice to me, or to the character. He goes by Bigsby, and just like other people who are nice, it's really difficult to do that. But they don't really have that. I just thought they did, but it's definitely worth replay. Like I did replay it a second time. It's pretty much every episode is worth replaying to make different choices, see how it goes, and everything like that. So, it's not, I don't know, I really don't know how expensive it is. I think it's actually pretty cheap. I think it's only like $10 on the 360, maybe $15 at the most. So for that price, I would say that it is a buy. I would say that. I'm a cheapo, so I'm gonna go with a week buy. I rented it, I played it, and I'm done with it. So for me specifically, I'm gonna go with, strong rent, week buy, because for that price, that is pretty solid. Like you can't do much better than $10. Whether you download it, and I think you can play it on I think they have newer versions for the new systems, but I just wasn't interested because I had already started episode 1 on the 360 and I wanted to finish it. It is like an easy 500 points though, as long as you replay it and everything all the way through. Unless you're really good at the game, then you won't have to. So, but yeah, like I said. Now on to Netflix Marvel's Netflix Daredevil, I guess, season 2. If you haven't seen season 1, it is a must watch. You definitely want to watch season 1. In fact, I kind of wish I would have watched season 1 back to back, just because there are characters from season 1 that show up in season 2 that some I expected, some I didn't expect, and it's mind-blowing. It's crazy, spoiler alert, they do introduce Punisher right away in the first episode. But it's one of those things where it's not cheesy at all, it's super realistic, it's really phenomenal the way they do it. He doesn't call himself the Punisher, it's just a name that he gets from like the police and the media and everything like that. And but you see how that develops and changes throughout the story by the end, because it's not just Daredevil's story. And that's the other thing is, yeah, it's Matt Murdock's story, it's Foggy Nelson's story, it's Karen Page's story, and it's Frank Castle's story, as well as another character that I'm not going to mention because it's a huge spoiler. I don't want to ruin that for anybody, and I don't really want to spoil anything else, but it is brutal, it is visceral. But I love when there's episodes that are slow. Take it slow, because sometimes they're so intense, I have to take a break. Like, I have to take a breather and be like, wow, that was just too intense. I have to take a break. But with these episodes, where it does slow down, then I know I can watch it all the way through, without having to stop. Because when it's just super intense, episode to episode, I'm like, I need a break. I'm gonna burn myself out over here. It is so good though. Like it's hands down. Like I don't care if you're into comics, I don't care. It is just superb TV. It's just like I need to get my dad into this. I need to get every single person I know. Like, I'm trying to get as many people from work into it, and I have at least like 2 people, maybe 3. And I'm gonna keep on pushing it because it is a phenomenal series. I don't, like I said, don't care if you're into comics. Don't care if you're into Daredevil. Hell, I never liked Daredevil much myself, but until the Mark Waid series that I read, and then now with this is really well done, and it's not cheesy. They do start pushing the his baton more in this, but they do it in such a cool way that I'm like, oh man, yeah, jeez, it's so cool, and it just makes me like wish that there was a Daredevil video game. And man, and they could do a Daredevil video game in so many different ways. They could do one like Arkham. They could do one like LA Noire. They could do one they could even do one like the Telltale games, really, with his, with the court stuff. Because I love it that they integrate his court stuff. It's not just about his heroics. And I think that was something that was kind of wrong with the movies. There was not enough about his real life and how, is it his real life impedes on his superhero life, or is it superhero life that impedes on his real life? I don't know. But yeah, I think towards the end it was getting a little bit predictable, but it was so good that I just didn't care, and it was really well, but the rest of it was just so phenomenally well done. It just blew my mind, and it's just so great. It is a must-see. I'm tempted to buy the first season because I know it's out on Blu-ray right now, and I'm like, because it's so good, and for extras I think it would be worth it too. I'm gonna look in to see how much it is, and then maybe I will come back to you and do a review on that if I have it or if I don't. We'll see. So thank you for watching and listening and everything like that. I hope you conversate with me about all these things or whatever you're into. And remember, you like, subscribe, and comment. Really appreciate that. If you subscribe, I will send you a digital comic. And I believe that's it. Remember, you can always find us at TNTM The Show. It's our Facebook, our Twitter, our Tumblr, our Instagram, which I don't really post that much on anymore. But our Hotmail, if you want to send us an email. And, of course, our website. It's all at TNTM The Show. So, thank you, and talk nerdy to me!